thought it was funny that our first last call was about video games that we posted.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. Just if you go back in the last probably 12 of them, I don't know that any of them are about video games. So I was just like, well, it is what it is. But one of my nieces was over today. She has the location, like they're all on iPhones and stuff. So she has like location services on
The phone?
all of her, well, like all of her friends,
Yeah.
and like a lot of her family.
How do you feel about that?
Well, that's why I'm here, because
I
I
don't know
was.
if I love that.
She was showing me, and I was like, "Show me what this is," and it's literally she's got 20 people, her parents. I'm like your mom, my sister. I'm like, she's 1,900 miles away. And she's like, yeah, she's in Florida, and uh, her boyfriend and the whole deal. And I was just like, this is wild. And I literally told her, I was just like, my friend's coming over later. I'm gonna ask Jared if I can have his location at all times. Like, can you just imagine? Like what is going on here? Like, why?
I mean,
Like, what is the?
you can have it if you want it.
like,
It's
it's
like-
like
You're not going to find me in a place that I shouldn't be. I think if you looked at if we did this hypothetically, you'd be like, yeah, that checks out.
Jared's at home. Jared's at the bar. Jared's in Denver. You know, I mean, on the other way, you just be like, he's a fisher a lot.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't understand that. Like, I know how it starts. I completely understand how it starts because they get phones at a young age, and their parents get locations on them. Like, I will end up doing that, right?
Yeah, 100%. That makes sense.
So that's, I think, how they are introduced to it.
Yeah.
And then it just, well, you have my location, I'm gonna have your location, and then it just like spreads outward.
Mm-hmm.
But there were times like at like Christmas, my sister was like, "I'm gonna be late," and she was just like, "Yeah, you're fucking here, and I can see where you are."
Yeah.
And it's like that's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird thing. So, I'm still not a big fan of it. Generally speaking, I don't really like it that much, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm big on privacy. Like, there is a level of privacy that I feel like I should have in all situations, and I don't really want people to know. Not because I'm like out doing things that I shouldn't be
nefarious
doing.
or shady things.
Yeah. It's just that I don't want people to know where I'm at, just from like a privacy perspective. Like, I don't like it.
Oh.
So, yeah, like my girlfriend and I had this conversation where we definitely, I didn't share my location with her, and that it wasn't like a blow up. It wasn't like you have to share your location with me or anything like that. And so we now share one another's location. I will say that it is helpful.
When's she going to be home? I don't even have to text her.
Yes.
She's on I-15.
Yeah.
She's on,
Yeah,
you know.
When's that food coming home?
Yeah.
That type shit.
That,
you know? That's helpful, but also like, I think I've changed my tune a little bit on it because again, my initial feeling is like, I want a level of anonymity.
Yeah.
Just because that feels okay to me and good to me to just know that, like, you know, if I wanted to go fucking do some bad shit, I could. I'm not going to, but like that there's just something about it. Just like, I can't describe it. And
at least
hard
within
to describe.
At least with direct family, there is a use case. That really anyone can come up with to be like, no, I can see that my wife's on her way home. Whatever.
Right.
She doesn't need to text and drive and tell me that that's all fine. But it's just this outside where she was just like, yeah, I have like all my friends. I know where are they all. And she's like, yeah, at night I just check up on make sure everyone's where they're supposed to be. I was like, what? What do you mean?
That even? Is this your college age niece?
Yes. So literally,
I guess like from we're talking from like a pretty ignorant place because like we're not women, and
that's true. So like a month ago,
they
were all going up to the U dorms,
to
hang out, and one of my nieces was not there. She was late, so they pulled it up, and they were like, well, this isn't good, because she was on the freeway and not moving. And so then they called her and they're like, what's going on? She's like, yeah, I got in a car accident. And
Yeah.
then they actually went and got her. So I guess that maybe proves us wrong a little bit.
Well, and it's
In that
also,
situation.
I don't know if it's proving us wrong. Like, I'm not speaking out against it. I'm like, I understand the purpose of it being there. But like, here's my thing. Like, if it's a completely different situation with women where it's like you could be getting murdered by some guy that you met
Yeah,
online,
for sure.
where like I don't give a fuck where you're at. Like,
Nick, you're on your own.
Yeah, you're fine. I mean, like, if you called me and you're like, I need help, I would come if able to aid you. But also, like, I'm not like sitting over here being like, is Nick in danger? Like, did he meet someone that he wasn't supposed to meet? And how is that going to work out for him? You know, where it's different with women and, you know, shit's fucking scary out there. So I get it from that perspective. So I don't fault it.
I don't like, well, we're probably going the same direction. I don't like when I go to Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like an anniversary or something, at least my phone thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
And my phone brings up a notification and it's just like, hey, you've been here X amount of times in the last 2 years. And I look at it and I'm like, don't tell anybody.
Yeah. That could be potentially bad if you're like at a questionable massage parlor and it's like, this is your 6-year anniversary and you're like, oh Jesus, maybe I have a problem here.
Or I don't know, there's gonna be some court case and they're gonna be like, here's the thing about Nick, according to Alexa, he's been to Fisher this many times.
Yeah, they have no leads. There's like some terrible thing that happens. They have no leads on any suspects. And then they're like, well, let's just pull cell phone data of like people that they're like, this guy's been here over and over and over again. He's the guy to talk to.
Does he live here?
Because like, even if he's not responsible, he's going to know. He's going to be like, oh yeah, that's Curly. Curly sits in the corner over there. He's a little weird, but you know, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's a problem.
My thing is that this has been the thing that I have kind of rationalized, or not necessarily rationalized, but just come to realize is that like nobody gives a fuck about you, man. Like even when like, you know, I shared it with my girlfriend and like when, you know, admittedly, like when we initially did it, I was like a little apprehensive just for the reasons that I highlighted previously. But like, I know she's a little intense with her family. She'll like check up on them and stuff like that, which is perfectly fine. So I'm sure she checks up on me, but like, again, I don't have anything to hide. I'm not doing anything wild. And also like the thought process in my head of being like, this just like does away with like my level of secrecy or like my anonymity. Like no one gives a fuck. Like I know she's not over there like
that's the
on
thing.
her phone,
just no one gives
just staring and like watching me move around. She's not over there like, is he still at Nick's place? Like she doesn't give a shit.
You can get like phone cases that like
she just wants to make sure I'm not dead.
You can get like phone cases that you slide and you cover up your camera, like for people that are paranoid about that shit. Yeah. It's just like, who do you think you are?
Right.
Like.
Yeah. I used to have a privacy screen like on the front of my phone.
So like I couldn't see what's on your screen.
At like an angle, you couldn't, like if you were sitting next to me, you wouldn't be able to see what I see.
100% of the time when I see that someone has that, I just figure they like to watch porn. 100%. I'm just like, I can't figure out any other. I'm just like, I can't, why else? I'm just like, is it good porn? Or what is
I don't know why. I mean, I think it goes back to what I was saying. Like I had this, like this is like a phone. It especially nowadays is like so integral to like you as a person, as maybe unfortunate as that fucking is. That I didn't want.
It's got a lot of your DNA.
Yeah. It's a personal fucking thing. You know what I mean? And like, you know, what it's my phone. What I'm going to do on my phone is my fucking business. And I don't want anybody to be involved with that unless I choose for them to be involved in that. And so that was my thought process. I don't know. I'm weird about that shit. Like, I don't like it. Like there's something like inherent about it that throws me off and makes me
Mm.
feel uneasy. And like I can see like, a point of contention with people being like, why are you so resistant or hard about that kind of thing? Why is this such a big deal to you? And like they're fair to
Yeah.
make that, but there's just something in me that it just is difficult for me. I
Can't
don't
get
know.
over it. I don't know. I have a hard time with a lot of the privacy stuff because it's just like, one, like you said, like, who do you think you are? Like, no one cares. And it's just like, we gave all that up. If you're remotely on social media or like have like,
You ever heard of the
yeah,
Patriot Act? Like, come on.
like they're all tracking you. Like
Right.
the whole deal of the last 15 years is that data became the market.
Right. Right.
So like if you're participating in this society in any way, you're pretty much being tracked. Like if you really want to understand how intense it is, I think it's Instagram that you can go and you can look at the how what they've decided to serve you for ads.
Hmm.
You can see the back end of it.
Right.
And I went and looked at mine a year or two ago, and I was just like, I don't know, they know me better than me. But if I made the list, it wouldn't have all these things, and their list is better than my list. So like, I don't know what to tell you. Like they got golden retriever puppies, old golden retrievers, they got it all. The whole deal. They figured it out.
Yeah, I definitely see Boston Terriers all of the
It's
fucking time. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
show me more of those.
Thanks for checking the data.
Yeah, exactly. I'm never upset. I'm never being like, what the fuck?
Right.
Another Boston Terrier? God damn it.
Right.
Yeah, nah, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like we live in this, we've got this thing that's connected to the internet and any app that's installed is tracking you. I mean, it's just a crapshoot from that perspective. And yes, I mean, it's commodified in a way that is crazy. You know what I mean? And I mean, I think that a lot of people take that for granted. It's like that is a large portion of all of these major companies' revenue is sharing your data amongst
Mhm.
themselves and making it, oftentimes it's not for nefarious reasons, but it is somewhat unsettling
How much
at its core.
how much info they are kind of just like logging here to try
Yeah.
to, I mean, and a lot of it is certainly trying to like figure out demographics and figuring out like how to perfectly serve you up the right ads, because that's the name of the game. But
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. I
This
mean,
is the world we live in.
yeah, definitely. It's a weird deal, man. And we are definitely of an age where like this was not a part of society, and now it is. Absolutely is, and it's just the way of the world. And you could argue that it is worse than it was when we were young bucks, where this was not. I remember I had like a fucking Nokia, like one of those bricks that you could play Snake on, and it's like I get a little bit of cellular data every once in a while. I can send like 10 text messages a month. And if I stay under
Yeah.
that threshold, I won't be charged extra, or my parents won't be charged extra. I had a sweet dragon case on it with a fucking like Chinese dragon on the back of it. These were simpler times. This is not the world that we live in now.
I can't believe how quickly we solved the me in junior high being like, how do I get n- naked magazines? Like, how do I see nudity?
Mm-hmm.
And how quickly that just changed in a quick 20 years to actually, we just kind of like made porn available for everybody as soon as they have a phone.
Yeah,
Like-
and more to the point, I want to see
It's
a
like-
real life human's butthole right now. That's
Like,
like
it's just
in
like-
real time.
Like,
I want to
we're-
see that butthole right this
Like-
minute.
like real quickly. It was just like, actually, we just kind of just opened the floodgates there. And
Yeah.
whatever you want, there, yeah, you knock yourself out.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's also a negative thing. Not because of the buttholes, but more because
Might be
more
because
access.
of the buttholes. I don't
Okay, all right. I mean, yeah, to each their own. The more access you have to the world is a beneficial thing. Having access to any amount of knowledge at your fingertips, essentially instantaneously, is a net positive, but also a net negative, depending on how you interpret that data that is available to you. Because it unfortunately, even though facts are facts, they tend to be open to interpretation and the modern times that we live in. So, you can take things with a grain of salt or no salt, and it can be problematic from that perspective. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's difficult to like really lament and be like, man, this is not the way that things should be, because they absolutely are this way, right? So we just gotta roll with it.
I don't know that I would choose to go back.
Yeah. Do you remember fucking trying to find a place? Like if you were like, someone was like, hey, come to my house. And you're like, okay, what's the address? And then you just
Like-
print out a map quest and like staple it at your house. And you're like, all right, here I
Yeah.
go.
I
Like,
hope we see Dave tonight. we
Yeah,
might
yeah.
not.
We might not. Like, hopefully,
Like,
MapQuest is
listen,
accurate.
I just want to like, I went and hung out at friends in St. George when
Yeah.
I was in around middle school, and we called my parents and we asked them to fax the move list for Street Fighter 2. And that's not a thing you have to do anymore.
Is that really a thing you did?
I had him. Yeah, we had him. Well, not successfully. But we were like, we need some moves, and I'm like, I got them, and I'm like, we should have them fax them.
Yeah.
We have a fax machine,
Mm-hmm.
and we should just send them.
Yeah, man, the fax machine. That is a antiquated piece of tech nowadays, huh?
That's a piece of shit.
Unless you live in Japan. Did you know that they still fucking
They're
use?
just like super into it.
Oh, dude, they fucking like you go to like Yodobashi Camera, which is like one of the largest electronics dealers in the world, if not the largest. And there's just like a whole floor in their Akihabara location that's just dedicated to like
People that need to fax shit.
No, to buy fax machines.
Oh, got it.
Like the nicest fax machines. The it's like a 2-in-1. You can fax, and then it will also like spray your beehole and make sure it's clean. Like
this is a nice fax. It doesn't even make the noise.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
We figured out how to not do
for
the
whatever
noise.
reason. Like I don't really know the reasons why they haven't like shied away from it, but it's still absolutely a part of their culture. Like regularly, like within business, and if you're gonna do anything, you're gonna rent an apartment, anything that you could possibly think of. Like oftentimes people require you to fax things. So
unacceptable.
it's weird, especially because they're like so tech forward. You know, obviously before the smartphone came out, like their like phones were usually like much more advanced than the West's phones. And then you got fax machines still. It's fucking weird, man.
I got into a fight with United Health Insurance a couple years back.
Okay.
I had torn my calf essentially, and they had told me the physical therapist to go to, and I went there, and then they said that's not in network, and they billed me like a hilarious amount of money. You're just like, wow, that guy that rubbed my leg made a lot of money that day. Like that's just wow. So I called them and I was just like, listen, I need you to email me because this doesn't work over the phone clearly. So I need you to email me where I can go. And they said, we don't have email. And I said, well, what do you mean? Because like everyone has email. And they're like, well, we can only use internal email. I can mail you a list or I can fax you a list of where you can go. And I was like, I'm going to fucking kill you. So you don't have to worry about any faxing or mailing because that's really not, you're at risk right now. Yeah. But I was talking to this person. I was just like, well, here's the deal. What do you want your username to be on Gmail? Because I'm going to make you a fucking, like, they only do that to make it impossible, right? There's the only reason that they would possibly say they don't want to do that. It's just like, are you fucking, like, what do you mean? Do I go to, like, the Wells and just, can I fax stuff to a Wells? I don't know. How do I even do this?
You got to go to a Kinko's, like, man.
I was furious.
Did you go to a Kinko's or like equivalent to Kinko's?
I told them, I think I told them to mail me a list. And then like 3 weeks later, I got a fucking printed out list. And yeah, United Healthcare, they're not it. Their stock's doing great, if you're wondering, because I watch it because I'm mad. But yeah,
yeah,
fuckers.
yeah. They're like one of like what two to
they're
three
one of the big
major
conglomerates,
providers
yeah, yeah.
in the state and surrounding states, as far as I understand.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not great, Nick.
It
That
wasn't.
is not great.
We got through it.